so bad. I couldn't breathe because that's how I felt. My life was just a hand that I was dealt. And oh, now my image is successful. I have learned to play the game. I've shaken my hypnosis and I've learned to choose again. In my mind I hold a different image of myself. I've learned that my success is the hand I deal myself. Makeup, whether good or bad. I couldn't speak, and that's just how it was. But I could sing and write, because again, that's how it was. Now my image is successful. I have learned to play the game. Shaking my hypnosis and I've learned to choose again. In my mind I hold a different image of myself. I've learned that my success is the hand I deal myself. And I am a money magnet, and my lucky light is lit. My bills are paid, my family's great, my health is in the bag. I love my life and live my life the best I ever had. And now my image is successful. I have learned to play the game, and I've shaken my hypnosis, and I've learned to choose again. And in my mind I hold a different image of myself. I've learned that my success is a hand I deal success, it comes from deep within. The picture I have painted for myself that makes me win. By the grace of God, it gives because I ask, with faith and gratitude within my heart at last. Good morning, and welcome to Unity Church of Sun Lakes. I'm Reverend Jeanne MacLaughlin, and I am the spiritual leader of this beloved church. And I'm so grateful that you've chosen to spend your time with us this morning. Thank you. Makes a difference. Let's begin with our daily word for this morning. The daily word for today is let go, let God. I do what is mine to do and release the rest. Over the years, I have accepted more and more responsibility as I have grown in maturity and experience. I have also grown in wisdom as I am able to discern what is mine to do. I have learned what to take on and what to leave for others. I have also learned not to exhaust myself by taking on too many commitments. Perhaps most important, I know when to use my will and determination to make things happen and when to let go. I recall times in my life when I felt frustrated that events did not unfold the way that I had expected. I can now see how they unfolded perfectly, often in ways better than I could ever have imagined. I now let go easily, trusting in that perfection. In Him, we live and move and have our being. As even some of your own poets have said, for we too are His offspring. Acts chapter 17, verse 28. Let's bow our heads in prayer, connecting to our breath, dropping into that space we call heaven, the realm of God that is in us and is all around us and in each person and each life out there. And we feel that connection to one another, especially connecting to those that are listening right here, right now. We are all one. So we can feel those chords of togetherness, connectedness, oneness. And if you could see it as a golden light, starting at your heart center, spreading that light throughout your entire body, connecting yourself to Mother Earth, and then taking that golden light into a ball in front of you and sending that light and your love, your light, your love out to the earth, to all people, to all life, to those who feel disconnected, to those who need healing, restoration, love. Seeing that love and that light going out, feeling your connection to the earth, to one another. Feeling that love and that vitality within you. Seeing where you are in this space right here. And knowing that this is the truth of who you are, is spirit. We were made in the likeness and image of God. A spirit. And so we thank you, God, for this day. We thank you for this loving community. We send love and light to Ernie, for her beloved husband has made his transition. And so we send her lots of love, and we know that her husband is in the realm as close as our breath. And so we send our love and our support to Ernie and her family. And we also know that where there is darkness, we send our light. And we raise our vibration of ourselves and the planet. And we are truly grateful for this opportunity. For these things we say, and so it is. Amen. This month, we are following the February tradition of exploring the topic of love. Not romantic love, as Valentine's Day suggests, but rather the love of God. The love of the divine for its creation. As I quoted Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore last week from his book, Talks on Truth, page 64. The love of God for his children is beyond description. A love so tender and so deep that it cannot be mentioned in the same breath with the ordinary love as known by our world. The great love of being is deeper and wider than the thoughts and the words of humanity have compassed since the beginning of language. That's the kind of love we are talking about this month. Specifically, our theme is On the Wings of Love. And each week, we are looking at different aspects of the L-O-V-E of the divine that help us spread our wings and fly into a greater and even greater expressions of life itself. Here's been the lay of the land. L, standing for living in light and laughter, which we joyfully did the first week of the month. With O, we got an entirely new perspective on the omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience of God's love. Remembering our quote from Emma Curtis Hopkins, her affirmations, let's do them together. God is intelligence, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. God is life, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. God is truth, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. God is love, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscience. And today is the V, not standing for Valentine's Day, because that would have happened last weekend, but standing for vibrating with vision and vitality. And finally, next week is E, for enlightened enthusiasm. When we look at David Hawkins' work in his book, Power versus Force, which is quite enlightening, we learn that love is one of the highest energetic vibrations there is. And we also know that when we are at a high level of vibration, we are very magnetic. When you are at a high level of vibration, you are very magnetic. So our premise for this morning is that if we bring love, divine love, a very high vibrational energy to our visions, our hopes, and our dreams, they will have a great deal of vitality. Vitality meaning, according to Mr. Webster, the power or ability of something to be successful, the capacity to live and develop, the power to endure. So I want to offer you a passage from Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind that we will unpack to see where we are with bringing the high vibrational energy of divine love to our visions, our hopes, our dreams, giving them a great deal of vitality, or said another way, giving them the power or ability to be successful, the capacity to live and develop, and the power of endurance. The passage is a real roadmap for doing just this, and it appears at page 288. We should analyze ourselves, saying, do I look at myself from a standpoint of restriction? Do I see life limited to the eternal round of getting up in the morning, eating, perhaps going to work, coming home, going to get, sleeping, and then getting up again, and so on? Break the bonds of apparent necessity and see life as one continuous expression of the infinite self. And as this conception gradually dawns upon the inner thought, something will happen in the outer conditions to relieve the greater demands of necessity. Free yourself forever from the thought that God may be pleased by a life of sacrifice, that the world is any better because of your misery, or that righteousness is more perfectly expressed through poverty than abundance. Know that the greater abundance of every good thing which you are bringing out in your life, the more perfectly you are satisfying the divine urge within you. Anything you can dream of is not too great for you to undertake if it hurts no one and brings happiness and good into your life. So we're going to take this in chunks here. Again, is the beginning of the quote. We should analyze ourselves, saying, do I look at myself from a standpoint of restriction? Do I see life limited to the eternal round of getting up in the morning, eating, going to work, coming home, going to sleep, getting up and going somewhere, gotta get somewhere, and so on? This is the first place to look this morning. Self-reflection. Not in a condemning or judging way. Not at all. But in a way that helps us see and know where we are at this moment. Because the only place from which we can start is right where we are. That sounds so elementary, dear Watson. Yet it's so profoundly the truth. It's so profoundly true that Holmes speaks to it many times in the Science of Mind textbook. He says on page 142, since we must all begin right where we are, most of us will be compelled to begin our healing work with a mechanical process, meaning to me mostly in the head, not yet so much in the heart. Page 271, he says, there is a law of unfoldment which says we can advance only by going from where we are to the place where we would like to be. The way to work is to begin right where we are. Page 282, he says the way to proceed is to begin right where we are. It's not scientific to attempt to begin somewhere else. And I really love this one. It adds a new dimension. On page 402, it says, no one ever started at the top. Let us be happy to begin right where we are and grow. So let's assess right where we are and even be happy to begin there. Joy is also a very high vibrational emotion. So even if you feel a bit like Holmes asked, even if you see life from a standpoint of restriction or see life as drudgery, I just want you to notice it. Just notice where you are and be happy to be able to notice it. Be happy that this moment is a turning point for you. Be happy to begin from right here, right now, to grow. Do you think you can do that? I think you can do that. Now, in the receptive vibration, hear these words of truth from the Sufi poet and mystic Rumi. You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. You, my friends, were not born to live in restriction. You were not born to an eternal round of getting up in the morning, eating, going to work, coming home, going to get, sleeping, getting up again, and so on. There is so much more to life, and there's so much more meant for your life. You are meant to fly, not crawl. So Ernest tells us to break the bonds of apparent necessity and see life as one continuous expression of God. I love these words, and you may also, but may also be thinking, well, that's great, but how do I do that? The first thing to remember is that the how is actually none. None of your business. So say that with me. The how is none of my business. Whose business is it? Ah, yes, that's God's business. So say this with me. The how is none of my business. It's God's business. That's right. If you have the intention, if you set it right here and now to break the bonds of necessity and see life as one continuous expression of God, you can do that. Because that's the what. And the what is completely and totally up to you. So say this with me. I intend to see everything as one continuous expression of God. Remember our exercise last week when we said, so this is what God looks like. That is a powerful way to see everything as one continuous expression of God. This is what God looks like. Holmes makes a promise to us when we do this. He says, and as this conception gradually draws upon the inner thought, in other words, as we begin to embody this idea, as it becomes more and more real to us, something will happen in the outer conditions to relieve the greater demands of necessity. Let me give you an example of how this worked recently for me. 2.5 years ago, I bought a home. It had to be close to my work, and it had to have a backyard for my 2 little dogs. And I wanted it to have 3 rooms. I found that perfect house. And it was perfect until it wasn't perfect for me anymore. My dogs made their transition, so I didn't need a big backyard anymore. And my office closed because of COVID, so I didn't have to live where I was living anymore. I yearned to live near the mountain, and I saw myself there. Within 1 month, I found my new place near the mountain, and within another month, I sold my old house. The outer world changed easily and effortlessly for me. And this is what God looks like. Now we get to my favorite part of the quote. Free yourself from the thought that God may be pleased by a life of sacrifice, that the world is any better because of your misery, or that righteousness is more perfectly expressed through poverty than abundance. Know that the greater abundance of every good thing which you are bringing out in your life, the more perfectly you are satisfying the divine urge within you. Anything you can dream of is not too great for you to undertake. If it hurts no one and brings happiness and good into your life. Those words fairly sizzle with vitality, don't they? Who knows who I was almost quoting there? Yes, Charles Fillmore, who in his 90s wrote, I fairly sizzle with joy and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. I smile because Reverend Joel Baer from Unity of Mesa, he used to say that, I spring forth with a mighty effort. I love that. Let's say it again. I fairly sizzle with joy and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. But that's kind of encroaching on our work next week when we look at enlightened enthusiasm. So I'm not going to go there. But for now I ask, is there someone or some circumstance involved in your dream that is challenging, seeming to be a roadblock, a stumbling block? Well, what if you brought love to him or to her or to it? Is there a lack of clarity about how to get there? First, remember, the how is none of your business. Nanya! That's God's business. But just bring love to the part of you that wants to know how. The part that is paralyzed because you can't see how. When you do this, you will open up an idea. Oh, I could do that. Or I could do this. I could just take that one step. That
is the love of the divine desiring to express itself in terms of creation through you. Let that vision vibrate with vitality and watch it take you to the next step. And then the next step. W. Clement Stone wrote, "No matter how carefully you plan your goals, they will never be more than pipe dreams unless you pursue them with gusto." So I want to end our time by spending a few moments vibrating a vision with vitality. French mystic Pierre Teilhard de Chardin wrote this quote, "There is almost a sensual longing for communion with others who have a large vision. The immense fulfillment of the friendship between those who engage in furthering the evolution of consciousness has a quality impossible to describe. I have witnessed this on our prayer team calls that Julia Norton puts out on Zoom once a week. And if you want to be a part of our prayer team meetings, yes, you are invited and welcome to join us. We also have a weekly Reiki meeting via Zoom with Reverend Lois Villot. It's a powerful community that stands for healing. So please reach out if you want to be involved in these meetings during the week. You can go to our website at unityofsunlakes.org and find the contact information there, and we will plug you in. So let's take a moment now to vision as we close our eyes. To vision right where we are right now. And to accept where we are right now, and we call it good. And we put love into this thought of where we are right now. Divine love. And we invite our vision of where we want to be. Let's say 1 year from now. Where are you? Where do you see yourself? And do you see yourself as happy, peaceful, loving, full of vitality? And where are you 5 years from now? And with a big smile on your face, take a couple deep breaths and give thanks and gratitude for that vision.
How do I feel right now? Loving or mad? Why do you ask? You say? 'Cause it's the life I'm living into. Who do I think I am? Athlete or geek? Does it make me strong or weak? How do I think I sleek. Why do you ask? You say? 'Cause it's the life I'm living into. This is the life I'm living into. And so I'm gonna make it fine. This is the life I'm living into. I'll relax, forgive, and make it mine. How do I see myself? How do I see myself? Happy! And do I love myself? You bet I do! How do I feel right now? Loving, darling! Why do I ask, you say? Because it's the life I'm living into. Who do I think I am? An expression of God. And do I have a scar? Yes, but it makes me strong. How do I think I look? Sleek and fine. Why do I ask, you say? 'Cause it's the life I'm living into. This is the life I'm living into. And so I'm gonna make it fine. This is the life I'm living into. I will relax, forgive, and be fine. I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm fit. I'm happy to give freely, and abundance seems to fit. I am being the best that I can be. How do you do it, you ask? It's the life I'm living into. Oh, it's a fine, fine life. It's the life I'm living into. Oh, it's a loving life. It's the life I'm living into. Oh, it's a happy life. It's the life I'm living into. Oh, it's a healthy life. It's the life I'm living into. Oh, it's a fine, fine life. It's the life I'm living into. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic week. Please be safe. Wear your masks, wash your hands, and know that you are truly full of love and vitality. God bless.